Josh Thomas is a business growth consultant with over 15 years of experience in helping over 5,000 entrepreneurs increase revenue through tailored strategies and AI-tailored solutions. Man, Josh, I am so glad to have you on the show today. How you doing?
I am awesome. I appreciate you, man.
Now, you had me as a guest on your podcast the other day. We talked about conversational funnels, and I just want to kind of go through that and have you explain a little bit about what conversational funnels is and how that can help our audience, whether they're reading this article in Newswire magazine or watching you on Amazon Fire TV.
So here's the easiest way to put it. We are in a world that is filled with distrust and distraction. And part of the reason for that is a simple phrase that if you are a marketer, you've heard this a lot, and it is marketers ruin everything. And here's what I mean. If there's a cool idea, a marketer is going to try to make as much money as possible and just drive it into the ground.
Yep.
So we've gone through this golden age of the online sales funnel, and it's been glorious. 20 years ago, you slap up a website and it says, click here to buy stuff. People would just rush and do it until they kind of caught on to like, oh, well, there may not be quality behind that button. I'm a little bit suspicious at this point. And then we had to start adding social proof. And then we had to start adding more copy. And then we came out with video sales letters and webinars. And then webinars were too much work. And so we did auto webinars. And then we did countdown timers and fake scarcity and all of these things. And
Yep.
people really, they catch on to that. And they don't trust you. They've seen it before. They've been burned before. And they don't really want to deal with that. They just don't trust you at all. And so on top of that, now in 2024, going into 2025, we're dealing with distraction at an all-time high. We're being pulled in hundreds of directions every day. We see probably anywhere from 15 to 20,000 advertisements every single day. Anywhere we look, we're getting dinged on our cell phone 200 times an hour. We're doom scrolling on social media is a thing because we literally don't know what to do with ourselves. We just got to keep ourselves distracted. The attention span, Curtis, has diminished over 40% in the last generation, down to 8.25 seconds, less than a goldfish.
I just heard that the other day on Instagram Reels. I was on the phone with a Meta rep that was reaching out. You know, by the time when you spend enough on ads with Meta, you've got a rep that's assigned to you, and they'll go through and kind of coach you on some of these strategies. But she was saying the optimal video length for an Instagram Reel is now between 6 to 8 seconds. She said 15 is typically about the cap. But that blew me away, though, with, you know, going from used to do multiple minute long videos, and people would sit there and listen to them, and now she said you've got to have them done within 6 to 8 seconds to be able to really land the video.
Yeah, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I was working with a company. Every week, we would do a webinar, a live webinar that was at least an hour long. We would do 30 minutes, we'd do a little commercial break, we'd do pitch, we'd go back to Q&A, we'd pitch again. And there would be 250 people on there every time. Now, we can't get people to watch a 5-minute video. We got to really get to the point. Like, nobody wants to hear the fluff. Nobody wants to hear the crap. You know what they really want is they just want certainty that you're delivering the product you say you are that's going to solve the problem that they actually have. They need to trust you. And so what's the key to really selling in 2025 and beyond? It's being authentic, and it's making trust valid again. And how do we do that? We think about, how do we create trust? Do we create trust by saying, buy now, there's only 3 left, and it's gonna be out in 20 minutes, and if you don't buy it, you'll never have a chance again.
Until you refresh the page.
Until you refresh the page. That doesn't create trust. So think about all of the people that you trust. The people that you trust, and what is your interaction with those people like? Typically, you're having meaningful conversations with them. You're sharing insights, and they're sharing their perspective. And you've had those conversations maybe several times, and you've invested some energy in each other. That creates trust. Conversations and connections, that's what creates trust. And that's the one thing that's been missing from traditional, what we call now static funnels for many years is there's no conversational element, there's no interactive element. And so we wanted to bring out the idea that if you're going to create a sales funnel and sell something, it needs to be conversational and interactive in some way. And so there's a couple of different ways that we can do that, but that's what a conversational funnel is. It is the antithesis of what has worked really well up until a little bit after COVID, when the way people buy, the way people interact online, it's just changing. They're not buying into all of these tricks anymore. They just want that authentic connection. And the best way to do that is to have a conversation.
When we talked about this the other day on your podcast, it's easy to see whether somebody is legit or not by looking at their profile and see, does that align with the stuff that you're putting out there on social media? And it's pretty easy to see, even if somebody's got a really great quality videographer and photographer and people, doing the rented Lambo type of shots and stuff, that all comes out, whether you're legit or not. How do you keep, like with conversational funnels, how do you keep those conversations sounding human? And do you disclose that that's AI that's having the conversation with them, or?
Yeah, it's a great question. So first, to kind of splinter this off, the idea of a conversational funnel is very simple. It is a method for building a meaningful relationship with your ideal client through simple conversations. And those conversations can be manual or they can be automated. And what Curtis is asking is about how we use AI to automate a conversation. My perspective is, if you're ever talking to AI and you want to know that it's AI, we'll tell you. No, we're not going to pretend that a robot is a human. But there are some concerns, typically from a business owner or an entrepreneur, that says, well, my people are a little different. My people want to talk to humans. They're not going to put up with that. AI sounds all robotic and everything. And those are very valid concerns, except that the statistics actually show a different story. 81% of online consumers actually prefer communicating via automated means versus a human being. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, human beings are slow. We have an expectation as consumers that if I'm going to reach out to you and I'm asking about doing business with you and I have a question about business, I want you to get back to me now. I don't want it later. My brain will give you 5 minutes. If you don't get back to me in 5 minutes, chances of doing business with me drop by 80%. 10 minutes, I'm already talking. Yeah, I don't care. I need my answer. I'm already talking to your competitor in 10 minutes. Now, the average response time, Curtis, for human beings across all businesses, do you know what it is?
No.
47 hours.
Holy cow, that's horrible.
47 hours. Now, me as a consumer, I want to hear back from you in 5 minutes, and you're going to take 47 hours. I don't want to wait for you. I'd rather talk to your robot, because your robot's going to answer my question as long as it's trained properly. And if you think about it, like, can you remember a website you were sitting on 2 days ago?
I get calls from people all the time that say, "Hey, you were checking out this site. You had showed some interest in this site or whatever. They've pulled my phone number, sent a text message, finally called me, and I'm going, listen, I got no clue who you are, who I was talking to. Well, yeah, it looks like it was back in August. Like, yeah. You don't exist in my mind today, 3 months later, let alone, even if it was 2 days later.
At the beginning of this call, you're like, what are we doing here? I'm like, yeah, we already met.
My time frame's a little bit shorter, surviving brain cancer, but
yeah, but it's very normal. Like, who's going to remember something they did 2 days ago? Who's going to remember something they did 2 hours ago? And so AI closes that gap. And actually, if you can get back to somebody who requests your attention within 1 minute, then your chances of closing that deal goes up by 391%. You have a 4x higher chance of closing the deal if you can respond in 1 minute.
Give me that stat one more time. That's a good clip.
So you have a 391% higher chance of closing a deal if you can get back to your online inquiry within 1 minute. The problem here is, well, hey, man, I can't be hovering over my phone and responding to text messages and like waiting for it to come in. I'm only human. Right. That's where AI comes in. The close the gap. Because if you could just get back to people faster, change nothing else, change literally nothing else. You don't have to change your sales pitch. You don't have to get a fancier website or have a better offer or anything. You don't have to offer a discount or a deal. You just literally get back to people faster. You close 4 times more deals. To put that in perspective, let's say you got 100 leads, and let's say your closing rate is 10%. That may be high for you, may be low for you. Let's say you close 10 out of 100. What if you could close 40 out of 100? Because that's the difference. What does that do for your business? And that's where AI can step in. AI is not going to close the deal for you. It can. But what AI is going to do is it's going to preserve that speed to lead, which gives you a much better chance of closing the deal maybe just a little bit later.
Now, with conversational funnels, do you offer anything as far as lead generation, or is it simply improving the close ratio by responding faster on inbound leads that you're already generating?
Yeah, so we can definitely do AI for lead generation, but we've actually found something that's a lot more effective, and I think you'll appreciate this. Curtis, you're a guy that I think you told me at one point you go on like 6 podcasts a day or something. Podcasts are a great way to generate leads if you do it the right way. Now, my partner and I have personally booked more than 300 qualified sales calls just this year. And we spent $0 on marketing. We did 0 cold outreach, and we do not post endlessly on social media. The way we do it is we build what we call a lead generating podcast or a flip show. Sorry about the coughs. And what we do is, for instance, the one that you came on is called Basic Business AI. And so here's the breakdown. And this is a conversational funnel. We build Basic Business AI, and the tagline is practical strategies for people who want to use AI but not become tech geniuses. Okay, and we're specifically targeting business owners who are just getting into AI, maybe using it a little bit, but they don't have engineering degrees and they're not gurus, and they're not like dinosaurs who are afraid of it. We're looking for those guys because those are the guys that are most open to using AI technology in their business. So
that's the majority of the people listening to this that'll be listening to this on Amazon Fire TV or watching this, reading an article in Newswire magazine. So if you are watching this right now, be sure to pay attention. Get a hold of Josh here. It's JT literally on Instagram. Not to cut you off there, but I want to make sure that people are connected, even if they're on a short time frame here. Get connected. Check out Conversational Funnels. Listen to the Basic Business podcast, Basic Business AI podcast. You guys dropping some incredible information here.
Yep, right. And I'm much more active on Facebook than Instagram. I try my best on Instagram, but it's the same call sign at JT literally on Facebook as well. But here's the thing is we have, since August 1st, we have published more than 50 episodes of Basic Business AI, and we have another 50 already recorded. So we've recorded 100 episodes of this podcast in probably the last 3 or 4 months. And all of them were our ideal target market. And what we do is we bring them in, we have a conversation, we build that relationship, that know, like, and trust factor, and we let them know what we're doing. There's a very specific, like a science that we have this dialed into. We let them know what we're doing up front. And right after the interview, we remind them this is what we do for a living. And then when we finish the interview, we have a conversation on the back end. And most of the time, they're asking us what we do. They're like, hey, this is very interesting. It's exactly what I was looking for. I'm very curious. And that's all premeditated, right? We're bringing in our ideal client, and we're talking about something that is interesting to both of us, and we're reminding them that this is what we do, and it makes that sales conversation so much easier. So just think about it like this, Curtis. If I were to call you up and say, hey, man, can I bring you on to a 20-minute sales call where I'm going to try to hard sell you something and get money out of you? Would you like to come?
Join that call, but I would bet you most people don't. I do a lot of those where I'll get on a sales call and I'll flip it, go, listen, it sounds like you got some problems here. Let me help you with your marketing, tune that up. So I'm probably one in 1,000 that actually would join that, but most people will not.
Yeah, so most people are going to be like, no way, dude, and they're going to hang up, right? And so here's the thing, though, like, you're not tricking anyone. You're just like, hey, come onto my podcast. Let's talk about something that we're mutually interested in. And during that experience, we're going to build a relationship and get to know each other. You know, just like if you see a pretty lady in the bar, the best way to take her out is to walk up and say, hi, my name is Josh. Nice to meet you. Without doing that, it's going to be kind of awkward. You know, you got to get to know somebody. You have to introduce yourself. You have to spend a little bit of quality time. And then, especially if you're selling a service or anything that's very expensive or complicated, they need to know who you are, and they need to feel like they can trust you before they're willing to open up and be vulnerable and say and give you the information you need so that you can qualify them and see if you can even help. And for them to be able to feel like, okay, this is the guy or girl that can help me. And so all we're really doing is streamlining that relationship building process through a simple conversation with a trusted friend. And then on the other side of it, we can make a decision on should we talk business or not. And about our statistics say about half the time, about 50% of the time, as soon as that conversation, the podcast is over, they're asking us about what we do because they're interested. And then another 20% of the time, we can we can ask a question or two and kind of lead it that way. And then another 20% of the time, we never talk to them again, and that's fine. You know, every once in a while, you put a quarter in the gumball machine and no gumball comes out. It's fine.
Podcasts are a great filter to be able to figure out. And there's people that I've had on Amazon Fire TV show where these are people that I really, you know, you look at their online profile, Instagram, Facebook, got a really nice website, whatever. And then you start talking to them and figure out this is not the person that you present yourself as online. So I love that. And you can almost use that as a filter to go, you know what, this is somebody that maybe they do want to work with you as far as promote, you know, getting conversational funnels or generating additional leads or open close leads. But when you're figuring out this may not be a good person to promote, then you're offering the service to the ones that aren't legit, huh?
Yep. And that's what we've found is it's just such a great filter. And especially, you know, that you've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs. Over the last 15 years, I've worked with 5,000 different entrepreneurs. And the number one problem, Curtis, that almost all of them come to me with is lack of qualified leads. I don't have enough people to talk to. I don't have enough people on my calendar. This solves that problem without having to go get deep on Facebook ads and making your funnel work, without having to dance on TikTok, without having to post 17 times a day on your Instagram and like, hey, morning cup of Joe, you know, forget all of that. Like, that's cool if you want to do that, but it would be so much easier to take a minute and figure out what is a topic that my ideal client cares about that is related to what I do. Let's build a process around that, and then I reach out and say, hey, come on my podcast. I want to put the spotlight on you. I want to ask you what you think. Not enough people care about your opinion. I care about your opinion. And you actually have to care. You have to be a genuine person. You can't fake it. And so it has to be something that matters to you. Like, don't start a podcast about travel if you hate travel. You know, don't start a podcast about engineering if you hate engineering. It has to be something that actually is relevant to you. And then through that process, like, I can give you the framework, that exact framework that we use for that, and it will show you exactly what to do in order to be successful in this process. And but you have to care about it.
I would love to include that in this article in Newswire magazine. Is that something that you can put out? We you know, obviously can't put plagiarized duplicate content, but if you want to just go through that verbally right now, is that something you could do off the top of your head?
Yeah. In fact, well, I'll tell you what I can do. Anybody that wants to download this, I can offer it up for free, if that's okay.
Yes, I'll put that link in your,
okay,
you know, in the interview here, and make it to where it's actually clickable from your magazine article. Drive some domain authority through from the article to your site.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, so I can. You want me to give it here, or you want me to do it later?
Sure, you can give it right here.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to give you the entire framework for free, and you can just go and download it right now. It's conversationalfunnels.com/newswire. conversationalfunnels.com/newswire. But I'm going to walk through it here briefly, just to explain what we do. Okay. I want you to think about a spectrum. And the spectrum is very simple. On one end of the spectrum, you have your ideal situation that is the easiest win for you. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have your client's ideal situation that's the easiest win for them. Okay? So let's think about somebody who is a marketing agency, as an example. Their ideal situation is a client comes to them and says, I suck at marketing, I sell expensive stuff, I don't know what I'm doing, where do I slide this credit card? That's an ideal situation for them. They're like, okay, great, lay down. Now, for the entrepreneur, let's say they run an accounting firm. Their ideal situation is, I want my calendar full of people who need tax planning because that's the highest and best use of my time. I don't want to pay for them. I don't want to mess with the marketing. I don't want to become a business guru. I just want to do tax planning. Okay, so we've got two ends of the spectrum. Now, what we have to do is we have to find that balance in the middle that says, here's how CPAs are growing their business without getting into the weeds of marketing. And we build a theme around that. And now we're going to reach out to people who are our target market, which might be CPAs, and we're a marketing agency, and we're going to say, hey, we're doing a podcast called The Secrets of Growing an Accounting Firm Without Spending Money on Marketing. I'm just like spitballing an idea.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, yeah, I'm good at marketing my firm without spending money. All of my business comes from word of mouth and referrals. Let me come on and talk about some of the cool things that I've done to grow my business. Great. Now, I've got my ideal client who's coming on to talk about the thing that I do, which is marketing, and they're going to they'll get a spotlight shining on them, and I'm going to ask them questions because I'm a marketing expert. Great. Tell me, what are the secrets of becoming a marketing or a CPA firm that does great marketing? We ask them what's called an ignition question, and that's how we open up the conversation. And I just ask everybody the exact same question every single time. And that means I don't have to show up knowing what I want to talk about. I'm going to have them show up and talk about their business and themselves. Nice. And then I can play off of that based on what they say. And that's the conversation, right? And from there, you open it up. Before you ever let them talk, you drop a little pitch. Hey, by the way, this podcast is sponsored by ABC. This is what we do. This is who we help. Let me know if you want to connect with us. And then we get into the conversation, and then we finish it. We drop that pitch one more time. And if you've got the right pitch in front of the right audience, and you were really authentic, and you actually cared, and you were present in that conversation, when you flip this conversation around, they're going to be asking you about what you do, and they're going to say, where have you been all my life? Because I need your help. And for anybody out there, there's usually two camps. There's the camp of, I've been thinking about starting a podcast. This seems like the right way to do it. And that makes a lot of sense. Download the framework, and you can take it and run with it, or you can talk to us and we can help you with it if you want. And then there's another camp that is, I would never do that. I don't know what to say. I'm not good on the camera. I'm not very creative. I'm super shy. And that's okay too, because the way that we structure this, I'm actually an introvert. I'm not actually that social of a guy. We were able to teach an engineer developer who has barely any social skills whatsoever to run a podcast successfully and convert it into a qualified lead that we eventually closed. And he had no idea what he was doing. All he did was just follow a simple process. And that's the thing is, this is, Curtis, you've probably done thousands of interviews. There's some art to it, but if you really, really think about it, there's a science, whether you wrote it down or not, there's a science to this. And if you just follow that documented science, you're going to get a predictable result no matter who you actually are. Just follow the instructions.
And now that's the actual science that you're giving when somebody goes to the article, they click the link and download that framework you've just put in there, right?
Yep.
Man, that's awesome. Now, does that talk about, I guess we don't need to go through I need to have you answer all the questions here. If you just if you're reading this, click that link, check out the article. I've already spent time on your podcast and followed you on Instagram, followed you on all the social media stuff. You know what you're talking about, and I liked you, and that's why I invited you on the show. So if you guys are watching this right now, be sure to go, even if you're on Amazon Fire TV, pause the show, pull up your phone, go to the link right there, and be sure you get connected. This is huge.
Got it.
This is a little bit off topic. When our listeners, we get a lot of people that are trying to figure out quick ways or quick strategies to inject cash quickly into their business. Do you have a strategy for that?
Do I have a strategy for that? So there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. It really depends on what business you're in. But for me, one of the easiest ways to do that is what I would call a discovery contract. So I have shot myself in the foot many, many, many times by swinging for the fences and striking out. I know I can help somebody, and it looks like a big ticket deal, and I'm gonna like drop the hammer on them, like $25,000, $100,000, whatever it may be, a lot of money. And so the way that you can kind of flip that around is a simple discovery contract, where basically you're coming up and you're speaking with somebody, you identify some problems, and you can get on a call with them for 2 hours and say, here's all your problems and here's all the potential solutions, and they'll say, thank you very much, and then they'll walk away and they'll never talk to you again, and they won't solve their problem. Another way to do it would be, as long as you're positioning yourself correctly, and that's the most important part, is to offer a basic discovery contract. Say, look, it seems from my perspective, there might be some issues here that you need to address. Well, what issues do you have? Honestly, I don't know. But the only way I can know is to ask some questions, do a little bit of digging, and then I'm going to produce a detailed report for you that says this is exactly what's going on and what you need to do to fix it. I charge $500 for that. I charge $2,500 for that. I charge whatever. And if they say yes to that, your chance of closing the bigger deal is like 90+%. And the amount of money you charge is actually irrelevant. The amount of money you charge should just be enough for them to say, why the hell not? Why wouldn't I do that? It shouldn't hurt too much. Charge just enough to where it's like, I got your attention. Because the goal here is not to make money on the discovery contract. The goal is to secure the bigger deal. If you can secure the bigger deal, then you got some quick cash. Because otherwise, if you sit and try to convince them to hire you, it could take 6 to 8 months, and you could still get outbid, or they could lose interest or get distracted or whatever. But if they're putting their money down up front, they're either going to pay attention immediately, or at least you got some money, and if they get distracted anyway, at least you got paid. The next time somebody says, I'd like to pick your brain, like, that sounds painful, man. No thank you. I'll tell you what, if you got a real problem and it really hurts and you really want to take some action on it, you need to pay the diagnostic fee. Like, that's how much it costs. And don't be shy to charge what you're worth, but also you kind of got to gauge it. Like, if you really need the deal, all right, look, $250. Like, most people are going to take $250 seriously, no matter how big the deal is. $500, they're going to take it real seriously, no matter how much money they have. That's like not a small amount of money to get somebody's opinion.
Yep.
Right? And so it doesn't have to be like this egregious amount. It's just enough to grab their attention. And I will tell you, one of my first mentors, he is the person who taught me everything I know about discovery contracts, and he had one of his students secure a $108,000 discovery contract. $108,000 as a discovery contract. And they went back to him, his name is John, and they said, John, what do we do? And he looked back at him and he said, a really good job.
Yep.
But that's the thing is, like, they close a 6-figure discovery contract, that's going to lead to a 7-figure deal easily.
Yep.
Like, nobody's going to just take whatever they say and walk away. Obviously, they're going to have to be on site, and they're going to dig real deep, and they're going to do a real good job. But the point is, that'll lead you to cash faster than anything because you get paid up front immediately before you do work.
Yeah, that's powerful.
But honestly, one of the best ways to get quick cash is find people that have a problem, that they're aware of the problem that they have, and show them definitively, give them certainty that not only do you have the solution, that you've solved it before, but that, here's the key, you can also solve it for them. Because, Curtis, there's only one objection, and it is not, I got to check with the wife. It is not, let me think about it. It's not, let me pray to my rabbi. It is, I'm just not sure if this is going to work for me. Yep. I'm not sure if it's going to work for me. Yeah, it worked for all these other guys, but I'm different. That's the objection that you ultimately have to overcome with anybody that you speak to. So if you can create that certainty that, yes, this is going to work for you, here's how I'm going to show you that it's going to work for you, and I'm going to acknowledge that you have concerns and fears, and I see you and I hear them, and your fears and concerns are very valid, and I'm not ignoring those. That's when you have a chance to get quick cash by showing somebody you understand them and that you're going to take care of them, you're going to solve the problem, and this time it's going to work for them.
We've all dealt with this same problem that you just talked about as far as closing somebody that are going, yeah, I know this is great. My friend was just featured. They just, they're getting great results, whatever it is. And then you give them the price and they're like, well, let me think about it. I got to, let me look at the details. How do you do what you just explained?
So my discovery process, whether I'm charging for it or not, is I need to understand if you are actually in a position to make a decision. And I have a basic process. I call it the spider method of qualifying. And it's just because there's 8 legs. There's an internal set of qualifiers and there's an external set of qualifiers. If you've checked all of these boxes, then I know you're in the right position to buy, and it would be illogical of you to say something like that at the end. So I'll go through them just very quickly without turning this into a sales clinic, but pain, doubt, cost, desire, trust, support, money, timing. Okay, so there's 8 there, 4 internal, 4 external. Okay, and if support is the people around you, like, hey, do you have a partner? Do you have a spouse that you make decisions with? I'm going to ask those questions in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the conversation. I'm never going to pitch you anything without knowing who's involved in the decision and what's your timing. Because I've talked to some people that, we get through the conversation, they're like, this is awesome. Can we talk in January? And I'm like, why in the world? And so I cut that off real quick. And like, what's your time frame for getting started on something like this? And if they say 3 to 6 months or whatever, I'm going to ask them why. And if they can't answer it, I'm going to say, well, maybe we should talk another time. I'm going to avoid being in those situations as much as possible because it's really hard to overcome. So we want to pull that out before we even get to the pitch. Usually my pitch,
and you won't get another appointment if you've gone through the entire pitch there. When it comes time to have that call in January, they're just going to ignore it because they're going, okay, I know he's got a service he wants to sell me, so they forgot the benefit, but they remember the cost.
Yeah. So I'll spend 15 to 20 minutes of a 1-hour conversation in discovery. I'll spend 2 minutes pitching my product or service. 2 minutes, like 3 bullet points. This is what we do. Here's the 3 sections of what we do. These are how we get results. And that's it. Like, that's all they need to hear as long as they know that it's going to work for them. And there's other ways to do that. It's not going to be, presenting the 17, features and bullets of your product. That's not going to give them certainty.
Somebody just got done reading this article, watching the show. What is the next step that you would recommend for them to get started? Is it to have a conversation with you? Did they just go to Conversational Funnels to your website?
I believe if you sell a high-end service or an expensive product, exotic cars or watches or high-end appliances or furniture or something like that, or any kind of professional services, if you're a coach, marketing agency, anything like that, a Conversational Funnel will place high-end, highly qualified, and motivated prospects on your calendar very quickly. Like, we could probably put 10 on your calendar within a week just by following the process, either one of the processes that we've talked about here, either with AI or with a lead generation podcast that we call a Flip Show. If that's something that's interesting to you, you can go to conversationalfunnels.com/newswire, download the template. It's totally free. And there'll be a link on there if that looks interesting to you and you want to have a conversation with me. It's directly with me, not like a sweaty sales guy or anything. You can book a call directly with me. I'll be happy to chat with you. I'll build out the entire plan for you. I'll show you exactly how it works. You can take it and run with it yourself, or we have a service where we can build everything for you. And if that's interesting, we can talk about what that looks like.
Man, that's awesome. Josh, I sure appreciate you for being on the show today. Again, if you guys are not connected yet, go check out conversationalfunnels.com. Also, get in contact with Josh Thomas. Again, it is at JT Literally on Instagram, Facebook, whatever platform you're on. You guys need to get connected with Josh. Thanks again for being on the show, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.